Hi, my name is Mark, one of the pastors at Trillium. Last week I got a text sent to me. It was an attack against God, against the church, against me. And it was sent from someone who was obviously in a very hard place, frustrated as can be imagined. And they were just lashing out at people. I guess I got caught in the crossfire. And I'm looking at this text and I'm thinking to myself, how should I respond? How would Jesus respond? What would Jesus do? It's a WWJD moment. I'm sitting there reflecting on it. Some of us have gone through A Course in Miracles at Trillium. In A Course in Miracles, it says that when someone attacks us, underneath the attack, there is actually a cry for help or a cry for love. A cry for help or a cry for love. Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, in the Gospel of Matthew, in chapter 5, he says, "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Attack for an attack. But I say to you," he says, "do not resist an evildoer. And if someone should strike you on the right cheek, turn to them also the other." Which in simple terms means don't return attack for attack. Don't get involved in the tit-for-tat life that's so much a commonplace in this world. And I suppose there's some practical reasons why Jesus guides us in this way. I mean, where does that tit-for-tat escalation get us? Well, probably mutually assured destruction in the end. If the attack keeps going back and forth, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And also, as agents of love, agents of perfect love, as agents of the kingdom of love, we're meant to disrupt the patterns of the world, not reinforce them. But I also think in Jesus' teaching in the Sermon on the Mount here, that he recognizes that underneath the attack, there is another message to be heard, a cry for love or a cry for help. And let's be clear, I'm not condoning violence between people, and I'm not condoning violence against you, directed against you. And sometimes in life we have to step out of the way of that violence directed at us. Sometimes we need to leave the scene completely. But it doesn't take away from the truth that embedded in the attack is a cry for love or a cry for help. And as followers of Jesus, we are given the task of figuring out how far we're going to apply this teaching to life, our life. I mean, how far did the master go? How far did our model take this understanding that embedded within the attack, underneath the attack, there is actually a more authentic message, a cry for help or a cry for love? How far did he take that? And of course, Jesus took it all the way to the cross, which means he took it all the way. And all the attack of the world, when he was arrested, falsely accused, mocked, beaten, persecuted, ultimately crucified. Through all that process, what is called the Passion, Jesus never flinches away from the truth that underneath the attack, there is the cry for help or the cry for love. And when he's on the cross, he actually prays to God. He says, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. They do not know what they are really saying." Jesus is calling God to look not at the surface level attack, but the true cry that lies at the heart of the world as it brings Jesus to that moment of crucifixion. The ultimate attack, in a sense, I suppose. And instead of destruction as a response to Jesus' death, we get resurrection. And a call to Jesus, from Jesus to us to follow after him and go as far as we can in extending the truth that underneath the attack, there is really a cry for help or love at play in the communication. You know, it's kind of sad we live in such a twisted world where simply and humbly and directly sharing the cry for help or love becomes so difficult for us. And we've twisted it so badly that now it comes out as an attack instead of what it really is. You know, that text I got last week, well, I thought about it for a bit, and then I responded, "I know you're in a hard place. I just wish I knew how to help you." And that response, it totally transformed the moment. I got a text back in a few minutes from the person that was so conciliatory and so full of love in it. It was a quite amazing thing. When we extend, or when we hear the real cry underneath the attack in life, we can change the world with that knowledge. I don't know how far I can extend this teaching. I don't know if I can go all the way like Jesus did. Like, does this understanding include those who attacked Washington, D.C. a couple weeks ago? You know, that in that attack, it was really a cry for help or love. What about the attack against the Twin Towers in 9/11? What about the horrific attack at Auschwitz? Can I hear in those attacks the cry for help or love embedded within them? Well, I'm not there yet. I'll admit that to you. I'm not able to apply this teaching to the full extent of my life. I want to. So I'm just going to take the next step along the way, trusting that through the blessing of God's Spirit, I will find the insight and ultimately the strength to apply Jesus' teaching, hopefully, and ultimately to everyone.